How you doing? It's game night. As I sit here, ready to charge my phone, because we are, of course, awaiting news. I am as curious as anyone. What's going to happen with this little starting lineup decision? Let me put this light on here. There we go. Let's get a little brighter in here. My smiling face. That is outwardly very optimistic about tonight, but secretly very nervous. I have not yet come to the place in this series where I am fully confident going into a game. I was very nervous going into game one. Didn't feel great. I thought they would pull out game two, but didn't feel great about that either. And I'm going into game three feeling like they're going to play better. They're going to score better. But I'm worried because I also don't know that we've necessarily seen the best of what Atlanta has to bring yet. But we'll get to that in a bit. What are the odds? Peter Griffin asks, what are the odds? That's a great one. What are the odds? I would say right now, if I had to put odds on this, I would put 40% chance that Derrick Rose starts. I would put a 30% chance that no, I'm going to do that over. No. I'm going to put 40% on Rose, 30% on Burks, and 30% on Peyton. I know that everybody, like I saw, obviously I was on the Zoom and Tibbs was like, I haven't made up my mind yet, which obviously is a lie. He's made up his mind. The question is, why is he not telling us? And Steve Popper had a good tweet, because somebody was like, well, if he was starting Peyton, he would have just said, I'm starting Elfrid Payton. But Steve made a good point, which is that if he says I'm going to start Elfrid Payton, he would get asked an inevitable follow-up question of like, why would you start a guy that you played 4 minutes the last game and that clearly is you don't think anymore is one of your best players? Like, what's the rationale? And then he would have to go into his coach speak, as opposed to giving us the real answer, which he has not yet given us, and I don't believe he will ever give us. But that is neither here nor there. So while, that being said, I still think the odds are him starting Rose. Okay, we got some good questions in the chat, which I'm just going to get to questions in the chat. RXMCY asks, any chance Taj starts with Rose? Yeah, absolutely. I think especially because Nerlens Noel's ankle is banged up, and we don't know where he's at physically, but also Taj has been better in this series. Let's just call it like it is. Taj Gibson has been better. He is more physical. He's bigger. I think he deals with Capella better. Like, I'd start Taj, and I think you have a perfect excuse with this Nerlens Noel, ankle thing. So yeah, I think there's a real chance. I don't know that I feel quite as strongly about that as I do that we're going to get a different starting point guard. But we'll see. Drew P asks, do you think Randall's second half last game broke his slump? I do. I also think, so for anybody who missed it, shameless plug, I had Monica McNutt, who is all over the place right now, but you could see her on MSG's pregame show in a little bit. I asked her if she thought getting away from the Garden would help these guys, and she was like, no, I think it's just pregame jitters. I will respectfully, well, not disagree, but I think being in the Garden was for all those fans. Like, I have to think that affected things. I think it'll be easier for Randall. I do think he's broken out of the slump. I don't know if we're going to get a 40-point game tonight, but I think he's going to be fine. I'm sorry, don't mind me. I'm just constantly checking my phone for updates. Oh, Spike Lee is in Atlanta. Very nice. Somebody, Dirty Dancer asks, should Rose's play change the free agency plans as reported? So for anybody who missed that story, Ian Begley said other teams are assuming that Derrick Rose kind of becoming what he's become or re-becoming what he's become. No, I can't say that because as he told us, don't compare me to my old self. Um, will perhaps alter their free agency plans. I I get that because A, you figure Rose is going to be back. B, you figure you're probably not going to have to pay him a lot. Because if you look at the numbers that he had with Minnesota in the shortened campaign, granted, with Minnesota before Detroit signed him, he was putting up outstanding efficiency, points, assists, the whole thing. And he only got a 2-year, $15 million deal. I think he's probably going to get something in the same vein. 2 years, $15 million. So that's not a lot of money, especially for this caliber of player that we've seen, which again, as I've spoken about on the pod, I spoke about a few times. I think he's playing like a top 35 or so, top 40 guy in the NBA right now. So if you know you're going to have that guy ready to go for 20, 25 minutes, and probably more importantly than that, you know that you have a coach who is ideally probably going to want to have that guy on the floor at the end of games. I have to think that lessens the necessity to go out and sign, or let me rephrase that, to like blow away a Chris Paul or to blow away a Kyle Lowry, for instance, and be like, here, take all of our money. Because what do I think it would take to get Lowry? I think, whatever it is, 2 for 50, 3 for, 65 or something. Some big number like that. I think it lessens that. I don't think it lessens I actually think potentially it may actually increase the chances that Lonzo Ball winds up here by next year. Because I think Lonzo Ball is a perfect example of a guy who could start ahead of Derrick Rose. Rose comes in. Those guys could play together. Easily, those guys could play together. I think they actually complement each other pretty well on offense. Defensively, Lonzo's, he's not great, but he's really good. So yeah. What else we got? Oh, we got someone here from the Philippines. Do you think Tibbs lets D Rose play as many minutes as he wants to play? I think Rose is going to get close to 40 minutes tonight, whether it's 37, 38, 39, and that's going to be game dependent as well. So last game he played, where did he play? 39 minutes, and I think it would have been 41 or 42 had that initial bench unit at the beginning of the fourth quarter not produced as well as they had. So yeah, I think we could definitely get a 40-minute Derrick Rose game. And this is the playoffs. This is the playoffs. And I wrote this in a newsletter, and I'll say it again. I was told a week or two before the playoffs started that the organizational goal, again, a few weeks out, was to win a playoff series. And I think they're going to look at it as if they win this playoff series, at that point, even internally inside the organization, it's going to be like house money. So, yeah, I think they'll push him. I don't think they're going to push him past the point where he feels like he can't go. I mean, they're going to have to lean on him. Joshua Ford asks, J-Mac, do you think part of the reason why Austin Rivers' departure was rocky is it was related to the Elfrid Payton politics? That's a really good question. I will first say that I do think the Payton, there's politics involved, and there's been politics involved almost from day one. But I also don't think it was purely politics. I think, Tibbs wouldn't have started him for as long as he did without being able to talk himself into it being justifiable. We've now gone past the point where the justifications that he offered are valid. But I do think he had to, he would have never played someone that he really felt he could not win with. At the end of the day, he felt he could win with Elfrid Payton. But there was also more going on. And I don't know if we're ever going to get the full story on that. I don't even have the full story on that. I've not been told the full story on that, but I've been told enough to be very confident sitting here and talking to all of you in saying that this was never all about basketball. And it is still not all about basketball, which is why there's a part of me that it would not be shocked if we find out whatever in a few minutes that Elfrid Payton's going to start this game. I think he'd play 4 or 5 minutes, but it is what it is. All right, we have our first comment in the super chat here from Jeremy Anselson. Thank you, Jeremy, for your generous contribution. Not to defend Elf. I don't want him to play, but I think the loss of Mitch made things really hard for him. He needs that lob threat while he drives. I think the loss of Mitch affected a lot of guys. I think, yeah, Mitch, I'll say this. When they lost Mitch, they lost an important dynamic of their offense. That said, if you look at the assist numbers from when Mitch was healthy, Elf threw him some lobs, but it was in comparison to some of the other guys, RJ in particular, like a lion's share of his assists were coming from RJ Barrett. Some of them were coming from Elf, some of them were coming from other places. But I don't know, from like there was a stretch this season where Elfrid Payton was playing really frustratingly, for those of us who had to watch him, but he wasn't terrible. That was the beginning of the year. And then most of the year he was just playing bad. And then we got like the last 10 or 12 games. So yeah, the Austin Rivers thing, I wish I had a more complete answer, but yeah, I think that could be tied up. Also, I think Austin Rivers came here and was probably told when he came here, like, look, you're going to be a part of this rotation. You're going to be a big part of this team. I'm sure Tom Thibodeau in training camp was like, hey, listen, man, I need you. You're going to be one of my veteran leaders. I'm going to need to lean on you. You may not start, but you're going to be my sixth man, yada, yada, yada. And then he found himself out of what was, I don't know if it was a fully healthy. It wasn't even really a fully healthy rotation. But at the same time, it kind of made sense because who were you going to sit? Thibodeau was smart enough to believe in Reggie Bullock long-term. He was smart enough to believe in Alec Burks long-term. He was obviously smart enough to believe in RJ Barrett, quickly earned his minutes. And then eventually they got Rose, and then there's Payton. So I think it was more than just the Payton thing. That's why he was salty when he left. I'm looking because someone reported on hold on here. One of the beat guys had something on. Oh, Steve Popper. I don't know what the numbers will be when it's full here at State Farm Arena, but definitely more early arriving Knicks fans. A lot of blue here. Okay, so that's a good sign. Matt Smith in the super chat. What's going on, Matt? How are you? Not to lose sight of the series, but given the Haynes Berman reports on Dame, starting to feel like 2 more Nuggets wins could be big for our future. Here is a great question that myself and Mr. Cohen have not yet really dove into because we've been trying to focus on the here and now. But who should Knicks fans be rooting for more over the next week? Denver or Dallas? I don't have a gut instinct as far as what my answer is. I'm torn. I'm honestly 50. So this is funny. We got Dallas. We got Denver easily. Dallas, obviously. Andrew Claudio says Denver. Eshwin says Dallas. Sam Garcia, Denver and Dallas. That's cheating. So I'm going to push back on my producer. I'm going to push back on Andrew Claudio. He says Kawhi ain't leaving, guys. Andrew, my friend, I love you. You're a great producer. You're a great content creator. Have you not been watching the NBA for the last decade? I know he clearly loves LA. But if you look at that Los Angeles team, and if they, just for argument's sake, if they lose in 5 games, there is here, you want to know their path to getting better? Their path to getting better is wait till after the draft, and then after the draft, you could trade your 2028 first-round draft pick because you have nothing else to trade. What do you think, Terrence Mann is going to get people excited? I'm sorry. This is an incorrect answer. So unless Kawhi just really likes going out for street tacos in the middle of the night or whatever the fuck they have out there in LA, I don't know where. He doesn't strike me as a guy who wants to spend his early 30s or late 20s, whatever he is, in an organization where he knows he can't win. David Futternick, how could he abandon Check notes. Checks notes. Luke Kennard. Yeah, I mean that's the other thing is if you're Kawhi and you want to have faith that your organization has your back and is like a smart organization. This is the same organization that went out and spent $120 million on Marcus Morris and Luke Kennard this offseason. I don't know about that. I don't know what Kawhi is thinking. I have no idea. I still put it under a 10% chance that he leaves, but just for argument's sake, my answer is probably I'll root for Denver. Although there is another part of me that thinks that if the shit really does hit the fan in Portland, it's going to be more Stotts gets fired and they go all in and trade. I don't know, fucking McCollum and Simons and 2 future firsts for whoever they keep. I don't know who that player is. That would be my guess. But anyway, okay. Let us continue to answer some actual questions about an actual basketball game that is being played tonight. If we have any, or now everybody's gonna be talking about Dame and Kawhi. I can't believe we still don't have word. Whoa! Is this a real? Oh no. Stefan Bondi tweeted out Alonzo Trier is also here. It is someone in an Alonzo Trier jersey. So good for that person. Anyway, what else we got? Hi, Knicks friends. Cheers from France. Cheers to you, Robin. Favre. Favre. I'm just gonna go with Favre. Robin Favre. Hello to France. Someone saying Peyton is starting confirmed. I'm assuming that is a fake thing, but because I haven't seen it. But anyway. We got Zach from Israel. We got people watching from all over the place. This is fantastic. John Collins breakout game. Interesting question. Here's the thing, and this is why I still am very uncertain about this series, is because I feel like there's like so many guys that we still haven't seen their best from. Like we haven't seen anywhere close to the best from John Collins. I think we're going to have some John Collins stuff at some point. I know he caught some lobs in game 1, but that's it. We haven't seen anywhere. Like, does Gallinari have a 5 for 8 3-point shooting game in him? Does Kevin Huerter have one of those types of games in him? We haven't seen Bogdanovic go really nuts yet. I know he was crazy from inside the arc yesterday, but he hasn't really hurt them that much from 3. And by the same token, in New York, we haven't really seen a Quickly game yet. We obviously haven't seen a Randall or an RJ game yet. I'm just – it's going to be interesting because I wonder, are we going to get – and maybe it's tonight. Who the hell knows? I wonder, are we going to get a game where, a bunch of these guys are having huge games at once and nobody's having a bad game, and it's just, the highest level play and only one team could win. I don't know how I feel about that. But anyway, I will just say really quick, I think the key for this game tonight is going to be, because I think Atlanta will be ready to adjust somehow when New York shows high, bringing up, well, first of all, guarding Trey with Reggie Bullock and, showing whether it's Noel or Taj up high, at the level of the screen. Trey's going to be ready for that. I don't know exactly what's going to be going on. Maybe there's some smart cuts. Maybe they bring Collins up to the point of attack. So Trey, dumps off to Collins, and Collins can make a few plays on the short roll, whereas Clint Capella, that's not really his jam. I think he had 45 assists all year. I'm very curious to see how New York will react to that, or does New York come out with a counter adjustment before Atlanta can even adjust? And what is that? I mean, I think Tibbs will be ready for anything. And I think, but for all the consternation about Nate McMillan and keeping his guys on the bench too long, I do think Nate McMillan is a fairly conservative coach, but that doesn't mean he's not going to adjust. I think he is going to adjust. How he's going to adjust, how quickly he's going to adjust, we'll see that. But that's the thing that I'm watching tonight. And then obviously, Can Randall get going? And I also want to see, like, you know, I want to see a little bit more from RJ. I'm just gonna say, I want to see a little bit more from RJ. RJ has taken, a couple of rough looks in some of these games. I understand he's trying to get himself going. He's probably a little frustrated. It's not affecting his play elsewhere on the court. I still trust him from deep. His defense, I think, has still been really good. Not great, good. So I want to see RJ too. I want to see, when do we get an RJ game? Maybe we get an RJ game tonight. We'll see. Let's see what else. The producer, his name is Andrew or Claudio. His name is Andrew Claudio. That's his first and last name. Robin says the key will be Magic City Wings. Perhaps. We'll see. Navy Blue, 76. Bogdan and Capella always worry me. Yeah, they worry me too. They're really good. Those guys are, I tell you, I'll own this. When the Bogdanovich contract was signed this summer, I was I'm sorry. Patrick Martin says, I'm wearing my RJ jersey for that reason, John. Good. I'm glad. What was I saying? Oh, Bogey. When Bogey was signed to that contract this summer, I was like, I don't. It's an okay deal. It's an okay deal. It's fine. It's not a great deal. I tell you, I would give up. I would give up at least one first-round pick and then they wouldn't do it for one first-round pick. I would give up at least one first-round pick for Bogdanovich to bring him to the Knicks. I will say this: having watched him now for 5 games this season, he's not that consistent. Bogdanovich, he's scary. He scares the hell out of you. But I also think, like, for as much as we can make fun of the Kings for being the Kings, I also don't like. I kind of get why they let him walk. It was the wrong decision, because you could, if they had just signed him to even a slightly bigger number, they could have traded him on that number in a heartbeat. And you never want to lose an asset for nothing. But, like, there is a little bit of consistency missing with Bogdanovich that I don't know that's ever going to be there. That said, could he go off for 35 tonight? Yeah, he could go off for 35 tonight and just fucking absolutely make our lives a living hell. Manny, playoff Macri is overreaction Macri. I think I'm always overreaction Macri. I try to keep it tempered, but it's just, here's the thing. It's a 7-game series. It's a 7-game series. So if a guy has a couple bad games in a row, it could be the difference between you winning and losing a series. Obviously, goes without saying. Nevin, let me get this right. Athematatil. Athematatil? I hope I got that right. I don't know what it is, but I have a feeling today will be RJ's day. I hope I pronounced your name correct, and I hope that you are correct in that assessment, that it will be RJ's day. I just want him to play within himself and be patient. That's the other thing. I want him to be patient. I haven't sensed a ton of patience yet. We saw a little bit of patience with a post-up of Trae Young, like that. Let's see a little bit more of that. David Futternick, health is Bogey's issue. That too, yeah. When you got the health and you have the inconsistency, that's why he's only signed to $17 million a year, $18 million a year, as opposed to, if you saw him on his best day, you'd be like, oh, this is a borderline max player. Dilly, it's a fun name. Attack the basket early and try to get the Hawks into foul trouble early. I can't handle another Randall step back brick fest tonight. I mean, you say that, but like, Randall's he's been hitting those all year, and those step backs have been the foundation of the Knicks offense, whether you like it or not, because it means guys have to come up and guard him, and it's a trickle down effect. Everything trickles down from Randall's ability to be able to hit that shot. Obviously, it's been frustrating that it hasn't been going in, but we'll see. In terms of getting the Hawks into foul trouble, like I think that it's a great idea. I think it's a great idea in theory, but I also don't think that it's tough, because in the playoffs you don't want to get out of your game. You want to stay true to like what got you there. And just trying to get these guys into foul trouble, like, okay, who? You're talking Trae Young, and you're talking Capella. Well, Capella's really, really good at staying vertical. He's really good at staying vertical. I mean, the dude got, I think, did he have I don't think he had a personal foul in game one. I think he had maybe a personal foul or two in game two. Like, there's a reason if the all defense teams were not positionally designated, that he would have made an all defense team. He's easily been a top 10 defender in the league this year. He's just really solid. He goes vertical, and he doesn't have to do anything other than that because he's so goddamn big and long. So then you talk about getting Trey into foul trouble, and they've been hiding Trey in these corners. And when you hide Trey when you put Baby in the corner, I called him a Muppet Baby in my newsletter today, which I patted myself on the back for that because I thought that was pretty good. When you put Baby in the corner, then like you're putting the offensive player in a tough spot because like how does Reggie Bullock or Alec Burks take advantage of Trae Young in the corner? They do what Alec Burks did in the last game, which is hit a fadeaway over him, which you could do, but that's not a high efficiency shot. Or you could do what Reggie Bullock did later in the game and come curl around on top and try to get a three off. But like that's not even a way to get him into foul trouble. That's just like you spring yourself for a look. It's not the easiest look. It's a look off movement, but like give the Hawks credit. They're doing what they can, and the Knicks don't have. They don't have that wing player who can really, unless it's quickly, because like there's always going to be one wing player on the floor that's going to be kind of non-threatening-ish in a one-on-one matchup, unless you go Burks, RJ. Hey. Unless you go Burks, RJ, Rose, Randall, and a center, which maybe they should do more of. That's probably the only lineup where it's easy to hunt Trey, unless you feel like Quickly has it in him. And like I don't know that I want like the offense devolving into Emmanuel Quickly just trying to hunt Trae Young for fouls. I don't know if that's a recipe for success. Michael S says, Macri, how we doing, my guy? I'm doing good. Zolo J had a nice contribution to the super chat. Thank you so much, Zolo. I know a key to the series is Randall's scoring, but I want to see him looking to pass more and create for RJ or Bullock. I think he's been looking for his own shot too much instead of the right play. God knows I am not an expert when it comes to this stuff. I think it's an incredibly, incredibly, incredibly tough line for Randall to toe. Because if he's not getting his own shot and he's not like, here's the thing. If we talk about Randall's passing is only effective when he draws the double. Adrian Wojnarowski just tweeted, Nerlens is testing his right ankle prior to game 3. Could be limited in minutes. Taj Gibson's presence may loom larger in the series. Giddy up, baby. That's interesting. I wish I could say I was heartbroken over that. Just give me 35 minutes of Taj. What was I going to say? I completely lost my train of thought now. Oh, that's right. Randall passing. So if Randall's not drawing doubles, like that's why his passing is effective, because he draws doubles. If he's not hitting shots, he's not going to draw doubles. I do think he should drive a little bit more, because when he drives, like whether he's hitting a shot or not, like that's going to draw a crowd. But the Hawks have been really smart when he does drive. They've been smart with where the help is coming from. And the other part of it is because the Knicks always play a traditional big man on the floor with Randall, usually the help is coming from the center. And so when the help is coming from the center, and it's Clint Capella, and Clint Capella can kind of play Randall for the drive, and here's the thing, it all comes back to Mitch. If Mitch was in there, that'd be different, because Randall could throw a lob to Mitch. Noel is not as much of a lob threat. Taj Gibson obviously isn't a lob threat at all, though we've seen Randall hit Taj for some looks under the basket when Capella does come over. All this is to say, look, Randall's going to need to take some shots. Some of those shots are going to need to be tough shots. And if he hits them, and here's the other thing, I do think, just going back and watching these games over again, I don't feel like he's being selfish. I feel like he's trying to, again, toe that line between getting himself going and getting his teammates going. Is he perfect at it? Probably not. But then again, who is? And it's a tough thing to try to do. Andrew Claudio wants to see Obi at the 5. It's like this is like Fetch. Give it up with Fetch. Fetch isn't happening. Not this season. Next season, maybe Fetch will happen. Right now, Fetch is not happening. Okay. Yeah, Eshwin. Randall just has to make the right reads. I completely agree. Yes, Yao Sung. If Randall hits those shots, the doubles will come. No question. Completely agree with that. And we saw he hit some threes in the last game. And guess what happened? Danilo Gallinari plays up on him. He drives past Danilo Gallinari, draws more help into the paint, kicks it out, got Reggie Bullock going. Reggie Bullock hitting those threes then has an inverse effect, and it makes Randall more effective. It's all, it's the circle of life. Okay. I guess I want to stay on until we get the starting lineup, but God, they're really making us wait here. I'll answer a few more questions. I feel bad stepping on MSG's pregame show. What are you going to do? Lochi Whitaker, thank you so much for the kind words. All right, Ian reports, one scenario under consideration had been starting Derrick Rose in place of Elfrid Payton for Game 3 versus the Hawks, sources said. Oh? Yes, Andrew Claudio, I do think we'll see Norvell Pell minutes before going small. And to be clear, it doesn't look like Nerlens is going to be out for the game. I mean, maybe he is, but I would count on him playing. Justin Bailey lost all respect for Atlanta. Way too much crying. All right, we got Greg Film Stuff. Greg Film Stuff, always a great contributor to the chat, super chat. Thank you so much, Greg. Do you think we could have used Rivers in this series? Would he have been a factor? Here's the issue with Rivers. I was a big fan of Rivers. You guys know me. I got into some early Twitter fights with a few people when I defended Tibbs for continuing to go to Rivers. He went cold. He just wasn't hitting shots, and he was kind of continuing to try to shoot himself out of that slump. And he was not really, I think, making plays for others nearly as much as Tibbs probably would have liked him to have been doing. And if you're not hitting shots and you're not really making other people better, and you also have the type of game where, Tibbs, he doesn't really preach this necessarily. It's not one of his talking points, but he doesn't like fucking guys standing there and holding on to the ball. The only guy who gets to do that in this offense is Julius Randle. And guess what? Julius Randle is going to be a fucking All-NBA second-team player, or third-team, I guess, possibly. He's earned the right to do that, and it generates offense for the rest of the guys. Austin Rivers doesn't have that right. So, no, I don't think Austin Rivers would have helped him in this series. Austin Rivers is a guy, you live by the rivers, you die by the rivers. If you could avoid either of those, I think you do. And look, let's just call it like it is. There was a reason he was available for, something about whatever it was, $700,000 over the league minimum. And why anybody could have had him. And he got signed to a 10-day contract at first in Denver. Yeah, enough about Austin Rivers. Okay. Got a question from Zach Zikansky. Do you think Denny Avdija would be good for the Knicks next season? I don't think Denny Avdija is going anywhere, and I would rather have Obi Toppin than Denny Avdija. I think Denny Avdija could still be good, but yeah. Anyway, RXMCY places a $1 chip on Vildoza starting. Let's go. Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think Vildoza is. I think he's out of quarantine tomorrow. I saw a couple questions about Frank. Dakshish Kasliwal asks, do you think Frank will be here next year? I have wavered and waned on this question all year. Before the season, I would have given you 10-1 odds that he was not going to be here. At some point this season, I probably would have given you even odds that he will be here. Now, I'll put it at like 25%, 25% that he's here next year. And that made me hopeful. I just, I think he wants to play. And I think he's going to try. If there's any team in the league that's going to give him an opportunity to play, I think he's going to go to that team. Okay, the starting five is Derrick Rose, motherfucker! Woo! Okay, I guess it's funny. And Taj Gibson. My daughter's inside coloring. She's probably like, "What is going on with Daddy inside?" Oh boy. So Andrew was messaging me before we started, and he's like, "Let's stay on. Let's hope that we get the starting lineup while you're doing the live stream, so you can get your reaction." And I was like, honestly, I don't even think I'm going to have much of a reaction because I kind of expect someone else to start. And then the longer we're sitting here and fucking talking about this, I'm starting to doubt, like, man, maybe we're going to get paid again. Oh, God. Man. Ooh, that's a relief. Okay. Now we could go. Oh, that's fantastic. That's fucking great news. Okay. Look, this does not guarantee anything. They could still listen. I'm not putting anything past this Atlanta team. This Atlanta team is really good. They could come out tonight and hit 45% from three in a heartbeat and the whole thing. But I like our chances. You know what I like? I like that we're going for it. I like that we're not fucking around anymore. I like that we're not enough, whatever the reason that this nonsense lasted for 73 and a half goddamn games. Whatever the reason, it's over now. That's all I care about. Okay? Whew. Here we go. Someone said 40-point blowout guaranteed now. I hope you mean a Knicks 40-point blowout, like blowing out the Hawks. Man. Okay. I'm going to go watch the wonderful and talented Monica McNutt on the MSG pregame show. I also want to see Wally Zerbiak's reaction to this news. Because he was, maybe that's the reason Elfrid Payton was starting all this time. Because Wally Zerbiak kept going to Tibbs and be like, man, just give this guy a chance. Give this guy a chance. He's going to reward you one of these days. You know why? You know how I know that? Because I played basketball in the NBA. Oh, man. Okay. I'm going to go. I'll see everybody after the game. Unless you're, of course, a subscriber to the newsletter, then I'll see you at halftime. And everybody have a glorious first half, and I will see everybody later. Adios.